Hi there, I'm Bonnie from Bamboo Furniture Designs. I've got this great little vintage cupboard and I'm going to turn her into a piece of furniture art. First thing I need to do is putty up any holes and damage, and also where there's some veneer coming away, I'm using a syringe to push in some glue and then tape it in place, and I'll leave that there for a few hours. Once the wood putty is all dry, I'll give it a scuff sand all over. My plan is to wrap 2 of Mint by Michelle's A1 sized decoupage papers right around the sides and the front. First thing I need to do is apply a white primer or a white paint to all these surfaces where the decoupage paper is going. This time I'm using Mint by Michelle's Mint Grip, which makes a perfect background colour. This is the paper that I'm using. It's called Moon River and it's from Mint by Michelle's latest new release. I'm just tearing this edge here because I'll be blending in with paint, and it just makes the blending a lot easier with a torn edge. If you're new to my channel, I'll let you know that I do like to paste the paper on with a top coat, and this time I'm using Mint Finish Matte, which is a new product for Mint by Michelle. She also has a shine, but either will work for the pasting. And what I'm doing now is just applying a couple of inches on just to secure the first piece. What I'm using here is called a felt applicator, and it is a great little tool to help push out any wrinkles and push out the air bubbles and the creases. And now I'm coming in with a piece of plastic wrap, which is actually the bag that the paper came out of, and it just helps to protect the paper as I'm using the little tool to push out the air bubbles and the creases. What I'm doing now is I'm finally misting the paper, and what this does, it relaxes the fibres in the paper and it gives it a little bit of a stretch. So in conjunction with the little tool, you'll be really impressed how those wrinkles come out, and the finished piece will be fabulous. I like to start pushing out the wrinkles from the center going outwards, and if you do get a crease trapped in there, the paper is super strong and you can lift it up and put it back down again. But I always start from the middle and I go out. See how the paper's stretching a little bit? If you start at the middle and then go out, you can push the excess paper outwards instead of creating creases down the middle. So I continue this whole process, just pasting a couple of inches at a time, using the tool with a bit of plastic to push out the wrinkles from the center outwards. Now it's time to turn her over and paste down this side. So what I normally do is I cut around the hinges before I give it a bit of a spray, but I actually forgot to do it here. So I'm just, because I don't like to apply the paper over the hinges, so I like to usually trim around them before I spray or add any paste so it's dry. So I actually did wait until this was dry before I trimmed it, because if you try and trim wet paper, you'll just end up tearing it. So I wouldn't necessarily have to trim it all off, but as it dried, it was stretching out of place. So I thought I'm just going to trim the whole bit off here, and then I'll just reposition it. Now that paper's on, I can pick her up and do the other side, and just like that, she's on. Ta-da! On this side where the two papers meet, the join isn't exactly perfect, so I'm coming in with some paint just to touch up the image so it looks like it's a perfect join around the corner there. And this is just a bit of Sunshine, which is a mineral paint, so I'm just playing with the flower bed there. And now I'm using a mix of Roaring 20s green with a bit of Time and Space black to make it a tad darker, and what I'm doing is I'm touching up the trees to make it look a little seamless, to make it look as though the image is flowing around the corner. I like to seal the paper with a spray varnish before I do any painting. The spray varnishes aren't water-based, so it will not reactivate the paper. This is the section that I need to extend the image, so I'm just having a play with a few colours. I'm mixing a few to see if I can get a good colour match. What I need to do first is cover the white, and I'm starting with Time and Space black, and I'm using a stippling motion which adds a little bit of texture. It thickens the paint, which helps to hide that torn edge. Now I'm doing the same with the dark green, and remember this is just the first layer, so the blending doesn't need to be perfect. We're just adding a base. And now I'm adding a little bit of a lighter green up the top, just doing the same, stippling the paint on. So I try to cover that torn edge as best as I can. When it's dry, we'll come in with some better blending. I'm trying to mimic the colours that are in the paper by adding a little bit here and dabbing it off. But notice that I'm coming right over the top of the paper now, because sometimes it's impossible to get the exact colour match. But if you add your own version of it over the top and blend it into the image, you get the illusion of it extending. Just watch now as I'm adding colour over that first layer. I add a bit of colour and then I might dab it off again, and I'm just trying to copy what's already in the image and make it flow, make it extend out. And be sure to bring the paint right over the top of the paper so it doesn't look like you're just filling in that side bit. So this is how she turned out, and I have to say I think I did a great job considering I'm not fine art trained at all. That's the beauty of these papers. They're very easy to blend in, and notice you cannot see the line. Then I decided to make some trim to go around the top and bottom edge. It glues on very well with wood glue and maybe a couple of tacks, and then I just add some paint to match into the image. I love using a bit of gold gilding wax on detail, and I think it really goes well with the image. The last thing I've got to do is remove this timber base. Originally I was going to replace the legs with something fancier, but then I decided I quite liked the base. So I'm sanding off all the varnish and stain, as I thought, well, maybe we'll just have a timber base. And then I thought, no, it's not fancy enough because I've made the cabinet all gold and blingy. So I did end up spraying them with some gold spray paint. And here she is, all finished. And I think she looks pretty good. I'm really happy with it. She started as a boring little brown cupboard, and now she's 180 degrees of furniture art. I hope you've enjoyed this little cupboard makeover. Feel free to like and share, and if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching.